Okay, let me see if you guys can hear me because YouTube has done something different with live, y'all. It's YouTube then switched it up. So let me see if y'all can hear me. Let me see. Yep, y'all can hear me. All right, so as you guys know, YouTube has done something different. I don't know what I've been out the loop all summer long. I've just been kind of traveling, doing my thing. Set up right here, and I don't know what YouTube is doing, but I know they took away Google Hangouts. Okay, and that's usually how I would do my lives is through Google Hangout. But Google Hangout doesn't exist anymore, so I'll figure this whole system out. But hi, ladies. Your girl is back. I'm back. I had a wonderful summer. I was definitely living my best life. Me and hubby, we traveled to multiple countries this summer. That's why I've been missing in action. I took some time off for me and mine. I went back to America to spend quality time with my family. And I have not been doing any work for the last real work. It's been about 2 months. Okay, if I'm gonna be honest with myself, it's been about 2 months since I've done any real hardcore work. Now it's time to get back into it. And I thought that I would come back today with a very popular topic that I've been seeing floating around YouTube. And the topic is about hypergamy. And hypergamy is the technical definition of hypergamy is marrying someone of your same class or that has that's upper class, meaning, maybe they are, and hypergamy has layers too. So I'm going to break this down very briefly. Basically, it means that you would marry somebody within your own class or someone that's in a higher class. Hypergamy also deals with our natural nature to want to be with a man who is attractive. Maybe some of you are into tall men, men who are handsome, men who have good jobs, men who come from good families, men who have some sort of status in society. Hypergamy deals with all of those things. And I know this video apparently doesn't have a chat, so you guys are going to have to come back and leave me a comment because I don't know if I was supposed to enable the chat or what, but I got to figure all of this. I got to figure this YouTube live thing out because it's new. But for those of you who are watching the replay, I would love for you to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts about hypergamy as it relates to the Christian woman. Because those of you who are believers, you know that we operate by a different set of rules, okay? That's why we're blessed. That's why we're abundant. If you are somebody that's depressed, sad, struggling, you need to take that to the altar because God, of course, we're going to have problems. I'm not saying you're not going to get sick. I'm not saying you're not going to go through issues, but the peace that's within us is something that the world doesn't have. They want what we have. They want our peace. Okay. And anybody who's a true believer in Christ, who's been on this journey, you know that that's the most beneficial thing about being a Christian is that it gives you so much peace and you feel so peaceful. One thing that's been bothering me lately with this whole topic of hypergamy is it's really discussed from a worldly perspective. It's all about, getting money, which I'm all about. I'm all about getting this money, so don't get it twisted. The love of money is where we go wrong, but making money, earning money, taking care of your family, taking care of yourself, having a man that takes care of you, all those things are great things. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with those things. But if you are looking at hypergamy through a worldly lens, you are probably going to fail and you are probably going to be unsuccessful. So once again, hypergamy is marrying within your same class or marrying someone that's in a higher class than you. This also can deal with education. This can deal with status in society, how much money they make, how handsome they are, just all the natural things that we care about as women. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's sinful at all to want a man to come into your life and to add something that you don't have. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a man to be a hard worker, to, be a financial provider, to be a leader. Nothing wrong with that. God put that innate desire in us. So it's not sinful. It's nothing wrong with it. But here's what I want to address. When we're talking about hypergamy as a Christian woman, we do have to look at it through a different lens, because we are working with a certain wisdom that the world does not work with. They think everything is as it is. Like, the world thinks what you see is what you get. They don't understand that there's a spiritual realm that we're operating in. And the Bible will tell you that what we're dealing with in life is not flesh and blood, it's spiritual, okay? All of our sinful natures, all of the war, the hatred, the fighting, the backbiting, the lying, the stealing, the cheating, the adulterous behavior, our sinful behavior, all of that that's dealing in the spiritual realm, okay? And when you are dating someone, you can't just say, oh, you make 6 figures? Oh, you're a lawyer? Oh, you have a good job? Oh, I want to marry you. I mean, that's the most stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. I mean, but yet we have women here on YouTube telling other women that, like that's the answer. The answer is to just find a man who's going to pay bills. To me, that is the least of the least. Okay, that's like something that a man knows he has to do. Okay, a man should know that he has to pay the mortgage or the rent. A man should know he has to pay for your food and for your livelihood, okay? A man is not necessarily required to take you on extravagant vacations or buy you a Gucci bag. If you find a man that does those nice things for you, that's nice, but that's not a necessity. That's not what you need to survive in life. Those are just extras, okay? And I love those extras. But those are extra things, okay? A man's responsibility is to feed his family, to clothe his family, to put a roof over their heads. That is a man being responsible, okay? We can dig, or dive or dig deeper into this conversation, but all of us as women, we want different things, right? Some of us want to be career women, Some of us want to be mothers. Other people don't want to be mothers. Some people want to be housewives. So everybody has their own perspective of what they want in life, So it's not just like a one size fits all as far as how you want to live your life. But when we're talking about being hypergamous, I think there are some very important missing components that these women on YouTube are not telling you and that they're not really explaining. Every woman who has any type of self-esteem is hypergamous. Me and my husband just had this conversation. He's sitting over there playing his video game, and he looks really weird because he has some kind of contraption on his head and virtual reality he's doing over there. So he looks very funny to me. But we just had this conversation that being hypergamous is natural. You naturally want to be sexually attracted to the man that you're dating. You naturally want to feel like they're a leader and like they're ambitious and like they want to create a life for you once you get to that point of marriage. It's natural as a woman to be hypergamous, and not only are women hypergamous, so are men. They might be hypergamous in different ways, though. They're usually not looking for a provider unless they are beta male, okay? A beta male is going to be looking for a provider. He wants a woman that's going to split the rent with him, go 50-50, and all the bills are split down the middle. We share everything because we're partners. That's the kind of men. You have some men like that out here, A strong, my dad likes to call them alpha beta, meaning you probably don't want an all alpha male, which is what women like to tell you here on YouTube, meaning like they're all alpha. They're probably going to be very cold, very hard. You do want an alpha male, but you do want him to have some characteristics of beta, meaning that they can be loving. They can express emotion when needed to. And that they're good with their temperament. No one's perfect, but you really want a man that overall is good with his temperament. You don't want his temperament. You don't want a man that's like super emotional. Men that want to do silent treatment. That's a very feminine trait. Men that want to be abusive or physically hit, or want to get really aggressive when they're angry, which people would associate with being alpha, but that's not being alpha. That's abusive and toxic. So I think women's view of what alpha men are sometimes are a little bit off. Alpha men are those strong, confident men, very masculine, stays very firm to their beliefs, not very desperate. They know that they can attract not every woman in the world, but they know that they are good enough to attract probably a plethora of women. They're not very desperate. They're not needy. They're just strong, sound men. And there's nothing wrong with desiring a masculine, strong provider, protector, someone who lifts you up. Now, I can give you a list of things that you need to have as a woman to attract these type of men. Because a lot of people want things that they are unable to attract. That could be because of our personalities. That could be because of past hurt, say life experience, yada, yada, yada. This live is not about that. But the thing with hypergamy, there are 3 core things that I think Christian women have to remember when it comes to hypergamy. I repeat again, everybody's hypergamous that has any sort of self-esteem, because you want the best for yourself. And if you're going to have children, you want the best for your children. And you can't do that by marrying, like a bum. Nobody wants to marry a bum. Okay. So on one hand, we're all hypergamous. We want to marry a man that's on our level, class-wise, education-wise, career-wise, or we want to marry someone that's above us, depending on the woman and, how she was raised, whatever. But Christian women, we have other standards that are way more important than just how much a man makes. Because just because a man makes a lot of money doesn't mean he's going to give it to you. So just the idea that just because a man makes money, it doesn't mean he's going to give it to you. And also, it's a thing of lifestyle. A man can provide you a very good lifestyle without being a millionaire, or even without making 6 figures. Although making 6 figures is nice. I think 6 figures starts at maybe $100,000. A man can make $60,000 in some parts of America, not all. Some parts of America. And if he doesn't have any children and he just has a wife, or maybe if he just has 1 kid and he's working on his way up, that's a good living for some people. So I want you to get out of your mind that men have to make a certain amount of money, because any male who is alpha, who respects himself, is always going to keep elevating. He's always going to keep elevating. You don't even have to work. So a man paying the bills, I don't even know. That's to me the most basic form of this conversation that we can have, okay? Because a man paying bills is a requirement. That's like not even negotiable. So I don't even know why this is such a big topic on YouTube. It seems very basic and it seems very surface, So where we need to be hypergamous as Christian women, because the Bible tells us that our husbands are the leader, they're the head of the home, they are the authority in the home, not like we're children and we bow down to them. And my man comes home and says, get in that kitchen. Go ahead, babe. Tell me, make me a steak and a baked potato. You're like, no, that's not what we're talking about authority. We're talking about we respect our husband as the leader. We make them feel like they are the man, because that's what they need to be successful. And that's what they need to thrive in their role. And before I give you the 3 ways that Christian women should be hypergamous over how much money a man makes, because how much money a man makes, that's great. But does he slap you? Does he cheat on you with other women and expose you to the AIDS virus or HIV or chlamydia or herpes? It's nice to have a man that has things, but if you're going to bring me home a disease, no, thank you. Okay. So we have to have a more intelligent conversation when it comes to hypergamy and when it comes to the type of men that, we need and we want and we desire for God to put into our lives. And if you're already married like me, even married women are hypergamous. I mean, listen, when I first got married, me and my husband, we both came from similar families, middle class, upper middle class. We both had degrees. We both could make our own money. We never were without. Our parents have always been there for us. And then when we got on our feet and were able to get our own jobs, we weren't rich, but we've never gone without. Now I got to a point where I didn't want to work anymore. I wanted to be free. I want to go have coffee at 12 o'clock. I wanted to explore my entrepreneur things. And my husband, he came to me and he was like, you can do it. Quit. It's okay. Think of the responsibility that it takes for a man to come to you and be like, listen, babe, I believe in you. You know I can hold us down with all the things we have going on. You don't have to do this job if you don't want to do this job. And, you know, I just think my husband is the best guy in the world for believing in me and for wanting my life to be great and saying to me, if you don't want to work anymore, don't work. Stay home. And how many men out here would be willing to bend like that for you? See, because that has nothing to do with how much money a man makes. That's character, okay? So let's be very clear. That has nothing to do with if a man makes $50,000 or $70,000, $100,000 or $150,000. That's character. That's the man saying, I am the man up in here. And no matter what, you are going to have a roof over your head and you're going to have food on the table. Now, maybe occasionally I can buy you a bag. I can buy you this. I can buy you that. And he does. But that's not the priority. The priority has never been, I'm going to give you a lifestyle that, you know, that you see on fake TV or Love and Hip Hop. That's not what providing is. Providing is food, shelter, emotional stability, caring, loyalty, and being faithful. That's what providing is, okay? And so I know that these women on YouTube, they sell you all these dreams, but it's not a real thing. And half of them don't even show you their lifestyle. I want to see your lifestyle, okay? If you're teaching me that I need to get a rich man or I need to have this and I need to have this, can you show me your lifestyle? I need to see where you eating at, where you going, what countries you visiting, what you doing. Half of these women don't even have a lifestyle to show you, to back it up. Not even to say if they did, it was right, but I'm just trying to get y'all to understand. Be very careful with these topics of hypergamy because being a provider is a requirement. I don't know what they're talking about. What women are not required, or what women has to beg their husband to pay the mortgage or the rent? What woman has to beg her husband to get up and go to work? So we're talking about a whole different issue. If you got to beg your husband to pay bills or go to work or be a man, then that's a different topic. That, to me, that's a basic requirement. What are you talking about? Date hypergamously. That's like, what you mean? The real issue is these three things as Christian women. First, date for character. Okay. When we date a man, they should have some character. That's hypergamous. That's being hypergamous. Dating for character. Do they tell the truth? Do they lie a lot? Are they on time when they say they're going to pick you up? Are they chivalrous? Do they pay for dates when you go out? You know, and I'm not saying, I met my husband in my 20s. I'm going into my 40s very soon, ladies. In my 20s, he had money then because his parents worked, like my parents worked. I had money in college. He had money in college. But he was even a gentleman then. I remember he would go on trips sometimes with his family. He would always bring me back a gift. You know, when he would get his allowance, because he didn't work. My husband didn't work in college. He would get an allowance from his parents. So when he would get his allowance, he would take me and we would go to whatever little restaurant, you know, a little 20-year-old selves could afford. He was always somebody that was never stingy with me with money, ever. I didn't have a car when I first started college. He had the car, and that was a requirement for me. I need somebody with a car because I didn't have a car. My parents didn't buy me a car until my senior year. So I was always looking for a boyfriend that had a little car or something because that's our hypergamous nature as women. We want men that can really help us, that can provide for us, that can be there for us. But this idea that it's going to be a rich man, or he's going to be making $100,000, or that, there's so many men out here making that. And let's be real, ladies, there is a very small amount of men making that kind of money. White, black, Hispanic, it don't even matter what race they are. A very small amount of men. So nothing wrong with being middle class or upper middle class and enjoying your life. I love the middle class lifestyle. The middle class, upper middle class lifestyle has me jumping on planes quite frequently, has me eating well, has me being with a man who respects me, who comes home every day to me every day. I know where he is. Has a man that has taken care of me. Y'all don't know half the things I've been through. I have stories to share with you. Not right now, but probably in my private group. Y'all don't know half the things that I've been through in my life with health, other things that I had to work on. He's been there for me every step of the way. So being middle class allows me to have, the luxuries of what I need in my everyday life, so I could run my business from the home, or sleep in if I'm sick and I can't work. That's what my husband has done for me. And he's not rich. So this idea that you have to be rich, that's not very factual. All you need is a man who's resourceful. That would be the number one thing. Beside the character, is somebody that is resourceful. And that's what a wife brings to the table too. If you want to live a certain lifestyle, you better figure out how you can inspire your man to be all that you know he could be. So it's not about how much a man makes. I mean, obviously, we don't want him to be in the poverty line, but he does not have to be making buku amounts of money for you to live a certain lifestyle. Now, if you got a bunch of kids, you got 3, 4, 5 kids, that's a different story. See, I don't have children. It's just me and my husband. Not saying we will never have children. I don't know that. I don't know. We're not pressed. Okay? But I know what I need, how much money I need for my lifestyle. Now, if you have a lot of children, you may want, and you might be in a different kind of situation. So that's why I tell the girls, my young girls, the young girls who are watching me, think about that. Before you start having a bunch of children and all of that stuff, you need to think about the kind of life you want to live. And there's nothing sinful or selfish or wrong about that. That's not biblical. God tells us that we can be fruitful and we can multiply. That's not a requirement. Okay? So date for character. That's hypergamous. You want a good man. Not a perfect man, because I'm not a perfect woman. My husband's not a perfect man. But date for character, okay? The second thing I want to point out for the Christian woman is to date for spiritual compatibility. One thing that attracted me to my husband, or maybe it was God, maybe it was probably God. I don't know. People always say things of God, and sometimes I wonder, is it really God? I don't know. I'm on this spiritual journey just like you are, ladies. I'm not some spiritual guru. My father is a pastor. His father is deceased now, but his father was a minister. Well, not a minister, a deacon, and his grandfather is a deacon. And, we grew up in the church and we grew up in Christian families. But we don't know. We don't have all the answers. We have to read the Bible, study, pray, grow, repent of our sins, just like the next person. And so one thing that I think maybe why we were drawn to each other, and maybe we didn't know it, is that we both had that spiritual compatibility, being Christians. My husband is a Christian. I was a Christian. Now, whether we acted like a Christian all the time is a different story. But we have always had that spirituality component in our relationship from the very beginning. Doesn't mean you're perfect. Being a Christian doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you don't sin. It just means that when you sin, you recognize it and you say, God, I'm not going to do this anymore. Or I'm going to try my best not to do this anymore because I know it's not of you. That's the difference between a worldly person and a sinner. And that's it. So we both had that foundation, that spiritual foundation. So some things had to be done. Having a baby out of wedlock, non-negotiable for us. We knew we was not going to do that in the homes we grew up in, because that was instilled in us. You leaving me if I got pregnant or something like that, that's not going to happen with him, because he grew up in a home where he knew better. He had a father figure. He had a father. And so that's why dating for character, spiritual compatibility is so important. And it is being hypergamous, because the Bible will even tell you, do not marry an unbeliever. Although some people do it anyway, the Bible is very clear that we shouldn't marry an unbeliever. That might be a problem. Corinthians 6:14. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? So you're trying to hook up with a man who don't even believe in what you believe in. And then you wonder why he's cheating and why he's out here in the streets and in the strip club and doing this and doing that and behind your back and hiding money and not being honest and not being loving, because you are pairing with somebody who you shouldn't even be paired with. And I don't want to hear anything but, oh, I had a Christian man and he did this to me. Just because everybody says they are Christian, even pastors, just because everybody says they are a Christian, it doesn't mean they are a Christian. So I don't want to hear that crap about, oh, I married a pastor and he cheated on me. Well, listen, that was him. That don't have anything to do with Christianity. Your relationship with God is your relationship with God. It has nothing to do with a church or other people or what denomination you're a part of. That is your personal relationship with God. And if people choose to do what they want to do, that's the best thing about being a Christian, is because God gives us free will. He doesn't force us to do anything. So if you know you're a Christian woman and you're hooking up with men that don't have that spiritual component, well, you know you're going to be set up for problems. So that's being hypergamous, Christian women. Third thing, understand family and background relationships. Like, you need to understand what his relationship is with his mother, with his father, with his family members, what kind of family they are. Are they an educated family? Are they involved in the community? Are they respectful people? Do they have a good name? Family background is so important, because a family that is destructive can make your life a living hell. A mother-in-law can make your life a living hell. Not my mother-in-law. I love her. But I've heard so many stories about in-laws and about friends and all about people who just obviously are not equipped to have healthy relationships. So you need to know what his relationship is like with his mother and with his father, because that can be very reflective of what kind of spouse they're going to be. Not always. I want to be clear that just because someone didn't maybe grow up with all the components that they need to be successful, it doesn't mean that God can't change their heart or make them a good spouse. The Bible tells us that God is no respecter of men. Okay. Acts 10 verse 34. God don't care if you're the president of the United States, if you are a scientist, if you're an astronaut, if you're an educator, if you are a janitor. He does not care what your position is. That's not how God looks at us. God looks at the heart, which is also biblical. Okay. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. 1 Samuel, the first one, because there's how many Samuels is 2, right? Yeah. So 1 Samuel 16th chapter, verse 7. Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. I'm paraphrasing. So it's important to remember that while these women are telling you to be hypergamous, they are not wrong in that thought process. It's just a little misconstrued and off. Because while we should be wanting to marry the best possible man that we can marry, it's more than just how much money they make or if they're on our level or if they're doing better, which is important. I always encourage young women to marry men who are on their level or better, period. Why would you want to marry someone who has not even worked up to your level in life? But keep in mind, a lot of women choose to marry later in life. They say it's because they never met a good guy, but I don't believe that in most cases. I believe that women sometimes think that they can get men that they're probably never going to get. Or I think they think more highly of themselves than what they should, or they might be delusional about how good they look, what they bring to the table as far as their personality, their attributes, all of things like that. And maybe they shun away from getting married because that's not cool, right? Getting married young is not cool. That's not a cool thing anymore. It's like, let me live my best life. Let me be a hoe. You know, let me slut walk. Even Amber Rose gave up the slut walk because she's trying to get this man that she had a baby by to marry her. Even she gave up the slut walk. She's not doing that no more. So, you know, a lot of people will tell you things, but they won't tell you the truth. A lot of women could have gotten married to really decent men, but they may have passed them over because they thought, oh, I'm gonna meet something better. I can meet something better. While they're not making substantial money themselves. So I'm not saying this is all cases, but this is some cases. So you wait until you're older and you're out of your prime and you're dating, and now you coming to me telling me there's no good men and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but sis, you probably had a chance to get married to a very nice guy who probably would have paid all your bills and treated you like a queen, but you thought because he was on this level, he wouldn't be able to do it or whatever. So that's the world's point of view, that a man has to make a certain amount of money. He has to do this. An alpha male is always going to make money. And he's always going to make sure that these lights is on. He's always going to make sure that you're getting the things you want out of life. Not necessarily all the things you want, but he'll make sure that you have what you need. So those are my 3 points for women who are Christian, who want to understand how we should be looking at hypergamy. A man being a provider is Christian women. We already know that. Then we ain't got to be taught that lesson. Being a provider, that's in the Bible. Man is the leader. Man is the person that we look up to in the home. Does that mean we're beneath a man? No. We are equal, but we have different roles. So I'm going to end on this note. If you're feminist, not like the normal kind of feminist, like the kind of woman that understood that we should be able to vote, you know, we should be able to make as much money as a man if we have equal education and equal experience, like the basics of being a feminist, nothing wrong with that. But we have a lot of weird feministic type of movements going on now, different waves of feminism. And my question to you that I'm going to leave with you in this video is, how can you be a modern day feminist and hypergamous at the same time as a woman? Because if you're hypergamous, that means you're going to get with a man who you believe is superior to you, not maybe intellectually or job wise or anything like that, but a man who you feel has something spiritually, spiritual leader, a man of great character, a great thinker, a great leader. You're getting with a man because you think he offers some sort of superiority to help you and make your life easier and better. Well, how can you do that as a modern day feminist who says you're fighting the non-existent patriarchy that is happening in America? Because there is no patriarchy in America. Is there discrimination from time to time? Do people take advantage of their power, women and men? Yes, we know that. But if y'all want to see true patriarchies, I would advise y'all to leave America and visit some of these other countries in Asia and in the Middle East and other places in the world, and you will see what a true patriarchy is. American women are not experiencing anything close to a patriarchy anymore because we can do whatever we want. We could choose to listen to our husbands. We could choose not to. A husband can't put no, I don't even understand how women get abused anymore, because all you have to do is dial 911 and the cops are going to come to your door and pick him up and take him to jail. That's the kind of country we live in. If you live in America, even though I'm not in America, I'm in Kuwait. But you know what I'm saying. So I don't want to hear anything about this patriarchy stuff. Oh, men. I really don't want to hear it, because either you want to be a modern day feminist and you don't want men to be over you in any way. You're equal to them in every way. You say you could do whatever a man can do. There should be no gender roles. So if you don't believe in gender roles, don't try to be hypergamous, because that's not going to work for you. Because what man is going to pay your bills and you try to tell him what to do? You loud talking him. You telling him, ain't no man can tell me what to do. I'm not, He tell you, lose a little weight. You getting big, or you oughta, walk. Like my husband tell me sometimes, drink some water. He's right. I be telling him, babe, I don't want to drink no water. But he be like, I love you. I want you to live. Not because he thinks I'm some fat slob, because I'm fat, but I'm not no slob. You know what I mean? But he cares about my health. Some women, you tell them anything. You can't criticize them in any way because something happened to them in their childhood, or something happened where they can never be criticized, or they can never be given advice to. So you can't be hypergamous if you don't believe in gender roles. I don't know how you're going to do that. If you're talking about traditional marriage, we're talking about traditional marriage with a male and a female. A man is never going to let you topple all over him and not show him respect. And showing respect or believing in gender roles has nothing to do about being the weaker sex, or the weaker sex in the sense that I'm abused. When I don't like something that my husband does, I tell him. When he doesn't like something that I do, he tells me. When we need to work out an issue or a problem, we work it out. There's no, submission, gender roles, understanding your place as the woman in the home has nothing to do with oppression, abuse, or anything of that nature, especially in a Christian marriage. Because God has told my husband through his word that he has to love me like himself. That's how my husband has to love me. That's what the Bible says. The Bible says that my husband has to love me like he loves himself. The Bible never tells me I have to love my husband at all. But I do. But that's not the commandment that God gave me with my husband. The Bible tells me that I have to respect my husband. When I'm mad at him, when I'm happy with him, when I'm not happy that day because I'm frustrated and I'm a woman and I'm emotional and I'm going through my mood swings, when he does what I want him to do, when he forgets to do what I want him to do, I still have to be respectful and learn how to get what I need out of him and bring out the best out of him. The Bible doesn't tell me I have to love my husband. It doesn't. That's not the command. That's the command for the husband. The husband has to love his wife. So this whole idea that men can't love, which is another video I'm going to do. One of the next videos I'm going to do is men cannot love. Because I also hear women saying that on the internet. Maybe they can't get a man to love them. And maybe that's why they're saying that. But men can definitely love. Not all men, though. But men can love. But that's a different topic. So that's my thoughts on hypergamy with the Christian woman. Hypergamy is built into us as Christian women if we believe what the Bible says. If we believe that the man is the head of the home, if we believe that men are strong, they bring things to the table that we don't bring, and we bring things to the table that they don't bring, and we work together, it's not a war against the other sex. Paying bills is already built into our formula. That's not something that Christian women have to be taught. Christian women don't believe in 50-50. We don't believe in that. Does that mean contributing to your household and to your relationship is a bad thing, or you shouldn't contribute, or people don't contribute in today's society? Absolutely not. A lot of people contribute to their household because especially if you have a bunch of kids, then the more kids you have, the more money. And kids are beautiful. Have as many kids if you want when you're married. Kids are beautiful and they're a blessing from God. But I'm just saying your finances change, when you have children. I have 4 nephews and they are expensive. They need so many things. And family is beautiful. Children is beautiful. Marriage is beautiful. It's all beautiful. But what I'm saying is hypergamy is natural. God put it in us to want the best and to be treated the best. But he did not put this worldly form of hypergamy in us where we're trying to get a rapper or a basketball player or a man who makes a certain amount of money. Like, what does it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lose his soul? What does it profit you as a woman if you do have a man who makes good money and he doesn't treat you with the honor and respect that a wife is supposed to be treated with? What does it matter to you if women are saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, but you get with a man who won't provide for you, even though they have the means? They hide money. They, don't talk to you about finances. What does it matter if you have a successful man? If he thinks he's the head honcho and he can do whatever he wants, and you don't have a say. So all of these ideas and theories that people are throwing out, they're not really based in reality sometimes. And also, I think that they're not based in what God really wants for us as women and how he wants us to thrive as women. But I want to be clear, nothing wrong with being hypergamous, as long as you're not being the worldly, low-class version of hypergamous, meaning you think that the only thing that matters is your looks. That's the only thing that matters. And you think that you don't have to do anything as a wife. You don't have to respect your husband. You don't have to believe in gender roles and believe that women have certain roles and men have certain roles in homes, and that you don't believe you have to respect your husband. And you think a masculine man is going to come in here and foot all of the bills or all of the major bills, and you're going to be that combative wife that doesn't want to walk in her role. I want to tell you that that's not reality. That's not real. And so that's my thoughts on hypergamy with the Christian woman. God wants us to pick a man with character, spiritual compatibility, and a strong sense of family. All right, ladies, you leave me your comments. I got to figure out how to do a live with a chat because this one didn't have a chat, but I'm sorry. I will see you in my next live. I'll be in the group, my private group. I will link all that information after this live is over. The link to my Wifey for Lifey group for wives or future wives who want to talk about things, talk about being a wife, talk about, the road up to being a wife, and all of the things that need to be talked about that are really being talked about in a weird way in society. Society's crazy. The world has gone crazy. I sound like an old person, but honey, the world has gone crazy. And I'm conservative. I'm conservative in every realm. Politically, I'm conservative. Spiritually, I'm conservative. I'm a conservative person, but I have liberal views as well. I'm not, uptight or can't have a real conversation or can't accept that people are different from me or have different beliefs than me. That's not the kind of person I am. But when I look at the situations that I'm seeing in today's society, it really grieves my spirit. And I know it has to grieve the Holy Spirit as well, because as women, we're supposed to be loved and respected and live great lives and be able to reach our dreams and be mothers. And if you want to be a career woman or if you want to travel, whatever women want to do, we should be able to do those things. And we should have a spouse that supports those things, just like we support our husband and we respect them as the leaders in the home. The men that have the responsibility, they have such responsibility on their back to take care of grown adults. Even my parents, I'm a grown adult. And sometimes, they do sweet things for me all the time. My parents do, and I'm grown. I'm not little grown. I'm grown. My parents still do the sweetest things for me. So love goes beyond just money. And anyone who tells you that you shouldn't marry for love is a sad, sick, hurt, bruised individual. I want to tell you that, ladies. I want to end on that. Anyone who tells you that love should not be a factor in getting married is psychologically disturbed. They're psychologically disturbed. Love should not be the only thing you think of when you get married. But it definitely should be in the equation. You need that. You need that for the sexual part of your relationship. You need that for the intimacy in your relationship. You need that for the friendship in your relationship. You need love to be there. Okay? You need it to be there in every area of your relationship. Love is the core of all things. Love is what makes this world keep spinning when it really should probably just burn to the ground. And we should all burn with it because we're so, we're flaky. Even as Christians, we have to check ourselves daily. I got to check myself daily. You catch me on the wrong day, I'm still learning how to be consistent with who God wants me to be. So that's all I have to say. I love you, ladies. Leave me your feedback. Tweet me. I'm on Twitter. I'm at TN Fashionista on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm Wifey for Lifey Group. And I also have a fashion page, Naturally Fashionable. So you could tweet me on any one of my platforms. Let me know what you think about hypergamy from a Christian perspective. Do you feel pressured with all these channels popping up telling you, be hypergamous, which is common sense? Christian women already know this. Let me know your thoughts. See you later. Bye.